The day before I deployed, was supposed to deploy, Memorial Day, I went out onto a field in Fort Stewart where there's a memoriam, a tree planted for every soldier in the 3rd Infantry Division who's died. I went out among those fallen soldiers, and I tried to take my own life. I took pills, and I went back to my regular poison of vodka and drank until I couldn't drink anymore. The next thing that I knew, I was handcuffed to a gurney in the hospital. The cops had found me and literally dragged my body into an ambulance, threw me in there, and locked me up. I spent a week on a mental ward. Now, mind you, I had been diagnosed because I had finally sought mental health because I thought I was having a heart attack. I believed myself to be strong, and after finding out I was stop-lost, I started having panic attacks, and I couldn't admit that I was mentally or emotionally broken. So I went into the hospital complaining of chest pain. They had me seek a mental health professional. They diagnosed me with depression and anxiety disorder and adjustment disorder. But I was still set to deploy. I was obviously a broken soldier, and I was still set to deploy. After trying to kill myself, I was locked up and analyzed and saw doctors and this and that. And when I got out of the mental ward, I was told that I was going to be removed from the military in a quick, comfortable way. Within 2 weeks, I could be home. So I was ecstatic. It was great. And in the meantime, I was allowed finally to go to mental health meetings as often as I would like, which was every single day. But during these mental health meetings, I can say meetings, not sessions, because it wasn't one-on-one with the psychiatrist. It was one psychiatrist and 20 to 25 at any given time. Soldiers, wives of soldiers, children of soldiers, who all had completely separate problems. Now, anyone who's studied psychology or knows anything about psychology, you don't give therapy on a broad way of just saying, everyone with problems get in a room, no matter what your problem is, and we're all going to discuss it. So none of that helped. I had tried before my attempt at suicide, and it didn't work. It didn't make me feel better. It didn't make me feel ready to get deployed against my will. They tried to prosecute me for malingering. I wasn't diagnosed with malingering. The doctors said that I had a severe problem and that they recommended removal from service. But my commander, Captain Mello, who was deployed, not directly commanding my rear detachment, who I currently fell under, decided that I should be removed from the country and I should have the stripes on my uniform. I was a sergeant after just over 2 years. I should have the stripes stripped. They should take money from me, possibly put me in jail. And when I went to legal counsel, the military lawyers on Fort Stewart, and I asked for help to fight this Article 15 non-judicial punishment from my commander, they said, no, you need to give up this fight because people try to fight it and all it does is bring down the military and blah, blah, blah. And I was refused help by the legal attorneys because they were wearing bars and they were wearing oak leaves on their collars because they were officers and they didn't want to be slanderous to the military. They didn't want to bring down their own career by supporting me and fighting what was wrong in illegal order to void my contract. And they call that stop loss. It's not something that's fair. Right now, endstoplosnow.com reports 80,000 troops locked into stop loss right now. DOD, or the Army Times, reported last week that there was only 7,000. Now, the reason why I think this is a very low number is because you're faced with the option, if you know that you're going to fall under stop loss and your contract is going to be extended, you say, well, hell, I may as well just re-enlist, so at least I get a bonus. When you're stop loss, you don't get any extra money. There's no compensation for voiding your contract, nothing like that. I was eventually removed from the military on one of the happiest days of my life, August 16th of 2007, on a general discharge. My DD-214, the paperwork which states every accomplishment of my military service, says in nice big bold letters, misconduct, serious offense. I committed a serious offense by trying to kill myself because I was so damaged by the war, the occupation in Iraq. It was misconduct for me not to get on the flight while I was chained or handcuffed to a bed in a hospital. So I lost my college benefits. The one thing that really gave me hope in life that I was looking for, I was going to be a student. I didn't know where, I didn't know what I was going to study, but I knew I was going to college in September of '07. That didn't happen. Now I can't pay for it. My money is disappearing. Between VA visits and personal instability, I've found it extremely hard to find a job. To tell you the truth, I haven't really looked because I'm having a rough time. So I deliver pizzas on Wednesdays. That's what I am now, a pizza delivery boy. I was a sergeant. I was a leader. I was a trainer. I was very well thought of. I was one of the most professional soldiers that I've ever met. And I got the paperwork right here in front of me if anyone ever wants to see it. I was a very good soldier. But now I'm pizza delivery boy who works once a week because that's the only job where I can call in a couple hours before and say, I'm still at the VA. I'm waiting in line. I'm sorry, I can't come in for a couple hours. Going back in time a little bit, please show the next couple slides. That is what stop loss does. This man, who asked to remain nameless, is a friend of mine who I traveled to North Carolina to see on my way home. Go through the slides a little faster. What happened was he stepped on a pressure plate, an anti-personnel mine, and he almost lost his right leg. He had arterial bleeding in his right arm, his left leg, his right leg. He lost all his hearing. His eardrum is destroyed in his right ear. This man was supposed to get out of the Army the same week that I was, the same week that our unit deployed. So I'm faced forever with, that could have been me. Or if I were there, maybe things could have been different. This is someone who was in my platoon I served with for a year. I knew him very, very well. When I came into the hospital and I was feeling guilty about killing myself or trying to kill myself, what this man said to me as soon as I walked in the room was not, hey, how you doing? Not, dude, you're a bad person for not coming over there with us or whatever. He looked at me with an intense look in his eyes and he said, dude, you're not going over there, right? And that filled my heart with something that no one else could have done. He
Thank you.
All right, I'll wrap it. The military commanders, they held me accountable for not deploying and for trying to kill myself and being weak, basically, being emotionally and mentally broken. Major Wesner, Captain Mello, Lieutenant Colonel Adji, First Sergeant Titu, and Sergeant Major Altman, I have one message for you. And that is something that is internationally understood across the world. And that's this: peace.